certainly be what the commentators like did again, real pretentiously, real obnoxiously, calling it like a real what did they how did they call it, just a career making moment. Like, stop talking like that. But it's true.
That's the one thing is, it's like nicknames. You don't say it yourself. You let the other people decide it. You never decide your nickname. It's always other people that essentially assign it to you. And same with wrestling. The companies themselves, it's the reason why so many people had an issue with Edge and Orton being called the greatest match ever. The companies themselves do not determine what is the greatest match of all time, what is the greatest feud. It's the fans that get to decide.
Right.
So something like that, I get what you mean. It's like, no, you weren't supposed to say it. Sure, it may be true that this could be a career-defining moment for O'Reilly, but you don't say it. Let the fans decide. Especially because you're going to make a fool of yourself if you end up somehow messing this up and failing. It's like you're going to look back at that and be like, oh, you kind of wish you didn't say that.
No. WWE, better than anyone else, will pretend like they never said it at all.
They're gonna mute the audio at that part.
Goodness gracious. Well, I'm looking forward, Jack, to Elimination. Am I looking forward to it? Well, I'm looking forward to talking to you about it. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. Especially
and you know what? To end, talking about next week, I'm really excited. Roman Reigns is playing the character of a champion who's like, no, I'm not going in that chamber.
Yeah. And I love the stark contrast between where Drew is, this fighting champion is like, yes, I'm valiant. I'll go in that chamber and fight.
Take them all on.
Yeah, I'll take all of them on. And Roman's just like, nah, you guys can fight for the opportunity to fight me.
Mm-hmm. Good. That's good. That's good character building.
Yeah, but overall, not really excited, as you mentioned, for the pay-per-view itself, but always excited to talk about them.
How much time we got?
12 minutes.
Who do you think's going to win the chamber matches?
I think Drew walks out as champion. Again, it's too much of a weird period, which is honestly why I hate that they hold Elimination Chamber during this time, because before it was like the chamber was the chamber used to happen like essentially summer, fall time, kind of like how War Games happens now.
Yeah.
And stuff. And not only that, but Elimination Chamber and Hell in a Cell both used to be rare occurrences.
Yes.
Where now it's like, it's on the monthly calendar when it really
it's annual. Yep, and there's 2 of them.
Yeah.
If we needed to have an Elimination Chamber at this time of year, I wish it was just one, and I wish it was deciding, like, Royal Rumble, there's a winner, and he can only challenge one of 2 champions. So I wish Elimination Chamber was reserved to find the other challenger for the other championship.
Yeah, like what my dad said when we were talking about it is like, because it's such a weird time, honestly what they should do is essentially give the champions essentially time off just to focus on whatever feud they're building towards Mania.
Mm-hmm.
Have them obviously have the small matches and then the defense to satisfy the 30-day rule. But for the most part, like, they shouldn't have like these big matches at the big pay-per-views, because it's like there's no point. You're not going to see a title.
True. You're going up against Edge at the greatest event of the year. But before that, I'm gonna lock you in what could best be described as, like a grown man's jungle gym, where anything and everything is gonna hurt you, like, for real.
Yeah. But, like, honestly, I kind of agree with him, where it's just, like, focus on building that long-term story to Mania, and then you can still have them show up, have maybe short exhibition matches, but there really shouldn't be anything happening much between, because, again, it's such an awkward time, so, like, I don't see McIntyre losing here.
Hey, and correct me if I'm wrong. So you say Drew wins the Raw one.
Mm-hmm.
Roman's gonna fight the SmackDown Elimination Chamber winner right after the Elimination Chamber itself.
Yeah. So
in a display of his strength, he's gonna fight a guy who'll go 30 plus minutes in that giant jungle gym, and you think beat them clean. You think they're up to anything, Jack? You think anything's gonna happen?
No, I can't see anything happen.
No,
especially because it's like
character building. Still.
If you're gonna have Roman lose anywhere, why are you gonna do it on such a essentially small pay-per-view?
But can you imagine Daniel Bryan running the gauntlet, surviving the Elimination Chamber? The real cocky Roman comes in, goes in for a spear that gets turned into a yes lock, and he taps because he got it in too deep. Oh no! Jay's in it too, huh? Jay's in the chamber. Oh, he's dead. He can't get up. Oh yeah. And then Daniel Bryan is defending a championship against a maniacal Roman Reigns.
Yeah. So there's 3 options when it comes to that chamber to me.
Let's go.
There's one option that a lot of people will say it's realistic, but I could see it being realistic and knowing that they'll do this just because of Roman's character, and then the other 2 are just kind of hopeful wishing. One is, like you said, Daniel Bryan winning it and just going on to, if anyone can have a 30-minute plus performance in the chamber, that's if he starts at 1. But, have that performance in the chamber and then go on to have at least a 5-10 minute good match with Roman is probably going to be Daniel Bryan. I don't know if he'll win that, but it would be crazy if he did. But, you could build that, especially because they still are supposed to be building towards Roman versus Bryan.
Mm-hmm.
2, you could give it to Cesaro, but a lot of people don't really want to see Cesaro get essentially squashed right after. But it would still be compelling to see Cesaro win the whole thing and even try and put up a fight against Roman if you want to go that route. And then the final route that I saw someone mention, and I was like, they can't do it. They shouldn't. Learn from WCW. But I know that they can do it. I know that they can do it. It's not as realistic, but there's a part of me that says I have a feeling they'll do it. They'll let Jay go on and win the whole thing, just for Roman to come out and do essentially a finger poke of doom type of thing with him, where Jay just decides to lay down and let him retain so easily and get the night off.
Yeah, I kind of forget Jay has, a soul in this matter. He's not fully behind Roman, that it was a consequence of another match. We haven't really paid that arc off, right?
Yeah.
You think there's at some point he's going to stand up, be a man, slap Roman Reigns right in his teeth, interesting. Could that happen here? Very interesting. Where he's like, no, Oos, no more.
Yeah, but they could go a lot of ways with that match, especially to further build story towards WrestleMania.
Do you think Edge is going to challenge Drew?
I think that's the way they go, honestly. Especially because, again, like Balor and Io, they really don't have much challenger set up for Drew anymore.
Right.
But
that would be the second legend in a season that he beats. Because I don't want Edge to win. Yeah.
It's tough. Because it's like, do you want to give your championship to Edge? It's like, I think it shouldn't happen.
Right.
But then it's like, man, who's going to challenge Drew afterwards? I mean, you could run it back with Keith Lee or AJ. I don't think anyone would have any issues with that. The only thing here is the Money in the Bank briefcase. It's just like, you always have to factor that in, and you're just kind of sitting there like, ever since TLC, I've just sat there and been like, that should have been the end of it. It was perfect to end it there. Why did they bring it back?
You're real sour that they got it back.
Yeah, because it's like,
on a technicality.
It's like, and the technicality was so dumb because they were like, oh, Miz didn't cash it in. Well, Heyman was the one that cashed it in for Brock. We've seen other people run down and cash it in for other people while they're waiting in the ring. It's like, why was this the one exception?
He lost. Yeah. No. When it starts being inconsistent like that, I'm having a bad time.
Now, the bigger concern. What do you think is going to happen with the Raw Women's Championship?
Oh, boy. What hasn't already happened to that poor thing, the Raw Women's Championship? Because Bianca Belair is likely going to challenge Sasha for her, dream match, her self-proclaimed dream match, right?
Yeah.
So what's going to happen to Asuka? Xylee! Call her up, bring the old woman, or whatever it is that's haunting her. Nah.
I really don't want them to give it to Lacey.
To Lacey?
Yeah, since she's
not done with Charlotte, and they're not going to wrap that up in the next month and a half.
Yeah. There's the fear in me that they let Lacey beat Asuka just so she can drop the belt to Charlotte at WrestleMania.
Ugh! I just got chills. You just said that out loud. How dare you, sir? How dare you? But, again, who else would it be? Who?
Rhea. Let her debut.
Rhea? She's there, isn't she?
She hasn't debuted yet, but she's silently been called up through the Royal Rumble.
Okay, got it. You know what I heard? I heard they might put her on SmackDown. You were like, no, don't do that. What sweaty hot garbage would that be? They need her on Raw.
Yeah, if anyone needs Rhea right now, it's Raw. What saved SmackDown last year was throwing Bianca Belair on it. Now Raw needs saving, throw Rhea on it.
Right. It's It's such a funny balancing act. We do this every once in a while after the roster's drafted and split up. You go, God, I wish there was just one roster. Dang it.
Yeah. Like I was telling my dad, I'm like, they would benefit so much if they just went back to one world title, one mid card, one tag, one women's, because and one women's tag if you want to keep that one along. Because then it makes the divisions look bigger.
Oh, it certainly
more
does.
credible challengers. Instead of having to worry about who's challenging next,
I have lost all kind of faith in this creative team, because unless it's for a championship, they can't come up for a reason for two people to fight. It's real frustrating.
Yeah, and what really irks me too, especially with the Raw, or not even just the Raw Women's title, but the women's titles in general, it's like, if you aren't a part of the Four Horsewomen, they really struggle to book you as champion. How is it that Asuka's been champion, what now? 2-3 times? And, every time she's had a reign, it's just well, you kind of started off somewhat good, but you haven't really continued building on it.
No. And then she becomes, it's so frustrating. She becomes the third wheel of her own story.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. We're not going to get out of here, Jack, until Charlotte and Sasha and Bayley all decide to retire as a group, too.
Yeah. Especially because you already know at some point they're going to start building that fatal four-way between the Four Horsewomen.
You think so?
They're going to do it. They know they have money in that, so they're probably going to do it. And because of that, the whole women's division is going to be put on a hold for that one.
The back burner. Goodness.
But so, with 1:30 left, we'll close it off here. We thank you for joining us for another episode of the Rule 34 podcast. We'll be seeing you next week to discuss the events that happen at Elimination Chamber.
I bet the title doesn't change.
Yeah, I don't see any titles really changing. Then after that, it'll be... Are we covering Fastlane if it happens?
Sure.
Because that's when the switch to Peacock happens, and then it's Mania time after that.
Got it. Well, maybe both of us jump aboard the new ship, and we could talk about the new ship and why we're going to cancel our subscription right after Mania.
Yeah. Yeah, so that would be definitely a thing to discuss about. So we thank you. I've been your host, Jack, joined by my fellow guest.
I've been Mr. Solis.
And we want to thank you all for joining us for another episode. Remember, the door is always open for anyone who wants to join. And remember, if it exists, we have an opinion on it. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next episode.